Hi, I'm Frank Edo. A media interaction between the Nimasa management and the core of the Nigerian maritime media. That report comes up very soon. Plus, Nimasa has been showered an accolade by an award which the Director General himself received. Plus, an interview, of course, between Cordelia and our Director of Maritime Labour, Alhaji Ibrahim Jibril, coming up. And finally, I end with good news. Nimasa has received the arrival of its very own floating shipyard or dockyard. It's a wonderful thing. So in other words, is this program action-packed? Well, you know it's true. Let's get to it. Hi, welcome back to Nimasa This Week. Now, I'm just looking at a list of the questions asked during the press conference between Nimasa management and the core of the Nigerian maritime media. Intriguing questions, I tell you. You know what, just don't take my word for it. The DG was there, everybody was there, face to face, they bared their souls, and it was a very interactive and concise session. Hey, take a look at this report and find out for yourself. The core of the Nigerian maritime media, from the print, electronics and social media, converged in the hall. The microphones and midgets, all in front of the DG, were eager to hear about the latest developments in the Nigerian maritime industry.
In terms of cargo throughput, there's been a lot of improvement. The other thing we've done is intervention with the Central Bank of Nigeria for a special interest rate. This is a major accomplishment we've done within the period under review. The other important achievement we made under the period, and this is important, is the reduction of transaction time from 72 hours to 12 hours for dry cargo or ro-ro and manifest to 6 hours for wet gas and bulk homogeneous dry cargo. Before now, it will take you a minimum of 72 hours. Based on the ease of doing business, in Nimasa, we'll be able to crash it from 72 hours to 12 hours. So within 12 hours, once you submit your manifest, within 12 hours, we're able to verify your manifest and issue a debit note for you to pay your 3% levy. Now that reduces dwell time for vessels in our various ports, and by extension, demurrage. So you don't even have need to pay demurrage unless you don't submit your manifest in time.
The Nimasa Director General took time to explain how the agency ensured that substandard vessels now dread coming to Nigeria. He says Nimasa will not relent until its full enforcement of all IMO regulations in Nigeria.
Increase our performance by 21%. So for flat state function, compared to our last year records, we are better by 27%. Coastal state, 21%. Port state, 10.3%. So in terms of our core mandate, Nigeria is no longer conducive for substandard vessels. That's the important message.
He gave the total number of certificates of competencies issued to seafarers by Nimasa in 2017 as 3,752, representing a 149% increase when compared to the 2016 figures. It's clear Nimasa is on the right path.
The international community now have confidence in certificates issued by Nigeria and by Nimasa. Within the period under review, few international organizations and shipping companies ordered to authenticate our certificates because most the top performance of seafarers who are certified by Nigerians. We have an online portal that can enable you to authenticate that these certificates are indeed issued by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. And so the international community have access. And so whenever you go and present a Nigerian COC, Nigerian COC is like a license to practice as a seafarer. Whenever you present it, there is renewed confidence that it is going to be genuine and that you are properly trained. And so that has also impacted on the credibility of our work within the period under review.
When the press conference ended, the journalists were not satisfied as they ambushed him again outside the hall for more questioning.
We have made a 10.3% increase in number of vessels boarded and inspected. In terms of flag state control, 33% increase in number of vessels boarded and inspected. In terms of coastal state control, 27% increase in number of vessels boarded and inspected. And we have been able to reduce maritime incidents to its barest minimum within the period under review. In terms of cabotage, we've grown the number of cabotage vessels owned by Nigerians. 125 vessels were registered within the period under review, and these 125 vessels are owned by Nigerians. In terms of shipping development, we have more vessels calling at our ports. We have introduced the final billing system so that there will be early reconciliation of bills. We have also impacted on the turnaround time of vessels by significantly reducing the period of treating manifest from 72 hours to 12 hours, especially for wet cargo 6 hours. And so within 6 hours, we should be able to issue a debit note, and if you sort yourself out, then we'll issue you sailing clearance. So within period, we've been able to reduce the period with which we issued sailing clearance to 6 hours maximum. So if you call at our ports, if you have submitted your manifest within 6 hours, we are likely to give you a debit note and a sailing clearance.
Hi, welcome back. Do you know about dry docking? Well, for a vessel to remain in class, it has to be dry docked once every 5 years. Now, because of inadequate capacity, we can't do it in Nigeria. So those vessels have to go to neighboring countries like Ghana and Cameroon, and all that foreign exchange goes with it. But I have good news. Despair not, because Nimasa is about to change the narrative. It has received its own floating dockyard and shipyard. That's very good news. So, watch this next report as our Director General, Dr. Dakuku Peterside, gives us a brief on how the floating dockyard shall be operated. This is the multi-million-dollar floating dockyard of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa. It arrived the country some weeks ago. It has the capacity to save Nigeria over $100 million, which is the approximate current annual costs of overseas dry docking of vessels operating in Nigerian waters. The Nimasa Director General, Dr. Dakuku Adol Peterside, announced that the builders of the floating dockyard will be part of the team to manage it at the initial stage.
We have made two alternative arrangements. One is to locate the dockyard in a naval facility. So the dockyard is in the country. It will be located in a naval facility. It will operate from a naval facility for the next 1 year. Any moment from now, we have extended a letter of invitation to the President Commander-in-Chief to come and commission the floating dockyard so that we can commence operations. I've always said that when the dockyard commences operations, it will save the country nothing less than $100 million per annum. It will not only save the country $100 million per annum, it will create jobs for so many of our young people. It will help them build new skill. Then it will also save ship owners the inconvenience of taking vessels to neighboring countries to go and dry dock. So that's where we are with the floating dockyard.
The floating dockyard has the capacity to dry dock 3 vessels at the same time. It's considered the 5th largest on the African continent.
We are going to outsource the management of the floating dockyard. In the interim, what we have done is that the firm that built the floating dockyard will cut our board to approve that they should manage it for 1 year. They manage the technical aspects, and we get Nimasa to manage the financial aspect. They are managing the technical and the marketing aspect. That's the interim arrangement. So we're outsourcing the management of the floating dockyard. Nimasa is not managing the floating dockyard.
Nimasa is currently engaging stakeholders in Nigeria on how best to maximize the benefits of the dockyard for Nigeria. The agency is consulting with the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, ICRC. During one of his working tours of the facility, the Acting Director General of the ICRC, Engineer Chidi Izua, commended Nimasa current administration for achieving this feat.
It will create jobs. We need jobs. We need jobs in the maritime sector. It will create jobs. It would also stop the outflow of foreign exchange from Nigeria. You are aware that many vessels in Nigeria have to go to Cameroon, Ghana, or other countries for maintenance. That is foreign currency, which we can ill afford going on. It will save the foreign currency. It would also be catalytic that now you start to create a ship maintenance, shipbuilding and ship effort. So now that this floating dry dock has come here, what it is doing is creating a new vista of business for the blue economy. So next time we will be able not just to repair ships here in the floating dry dock, we should be able to build our own floating dry dock and increase that technological upskill that we require, because we're a maritime economy, we're a maritime country, and we need to play in the maritime space. And shipbuilding, ship repair, dry docking, it's a very critical and important component of that maritime domain. So Nimasa, under my very good friend, the Dr. has done something very spectacular for our country. And this is in line with the agenda of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, which is to diversify our economy. This is diversification. This is something that we would have done outside before, but we're creating the local capacity and the capability to do that here. So that's why this is really very important, and we are very happy to be here to work on this project with Nimasa.
Engineer Izu assured Nigerians of better times ahead for stakeholders in the maritime sector.
Nigeria is an investor's dream. Any investor who comes here will have more than his returns. And Nigerians are hardworking people. Nigerians are educated, and more importantly, the ease of doing business, efforts of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, driven by the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, led by His Excellency Vice President Osibanjo. What they have done, to make it easier to do business in Nigeria, visa on arrival. People don't need to queue and get visas. They can come here, get their visas on arrival. You have company registration done online and offline and everything. So you see that there's an ecosystem that is being built to support. So really, to support the blue economy. So really, where to do business in West Africa and Africa, the number one place is Nigeria.
Introducing the new face of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa. We are charting the direction for our maritime and regulating the industry for a better, bigger, and more economically stable Nigeria. Evolved to serve you better. We are Nimasa. New face, rejuvenated service. Nimasa, changing the tides in your favor.
All right, let's talk about another experience that Cordelia had. And this time, it was at a cozy place. The background was splendid. The ambience was enchanting. So we only needed a personality to sit in the chair and talk maritime. So that personality was the Director, Maritime Labor, Nimasa, Alhaji Ibrahim Jibril, having a chat with Cordelia on this interview.
Hello, you're still watching Nimasa This Week. I'm Cordelia Obe. So far, I hope you've been enjoying the program. If you work somewhere and there are no laws governing how your employer should relate with you or how you relate with your employer, there will be anarchy. So there are usually labor laws. Today we'll be talking about labor laws in the maritime sector, and I have a director in charge of that from Nimasa. He's here with us, and I told him before that I like his smile, and that is the smile. Mr. Ibrahim Jibril, welcome to Nimasa This Week.
Thank you very much, Cordelia.
Welcome, sir. I've always heard about this thing, the MLC 2006. That is the Maritime Labour Convention 2006. Before we talk about anything at all, could you tell us a bit about it?
Well, the Maritime Labour Convention 2006 is a convention that is an international law of the International Labour Organization. Okay. It came into being in 2006, and what it sought to do was to bring together all maritime labor conventions that had ever existed and put them into one omnibus convention. And that is the convention that we call Maritime Labour Convention 2006. What is seeking to achieve is to bring together all the laws, international laws, that govern the administration of maritime labor on board ships internationally. And you could see in the provisions, there are sections that are taking care of the conditions of service of dock workers, that is the living conditions on board vessels. There are portions that are talking about their certification, what they should carry on board, and the general administration of maritime labor as far as international seafaring industry is concerned. But what it seeks to address is the serious dearth that we have of seafaring workforce globally. There was a time that about a decade ago when the International Maritime Organization launched a campaign of Go to Sea, and they did that for the simple reason that there is serious shortage of seafarers now. Most of the seafarers are aged, and a lot of them are out of the sector. So there was that campaign, and Nigeria decided to cash in on that, just for the simple reason that we want to develop a seafaring workforce for our cabotage regime, which is a protectionist regime for indigenous capacity building, and at the same time contribute to the world merchant fleet. Obviously, there are advantages to that. But Nimasa specifically went out to train young Nigerians. Right now, we have about 2,500 Nigerians under this training. You may be aware that seafarers training are in two major components, the shore-based training and the sea-time training. Actually, the shore-based training has to do with classroom training, where they go into the classroom like any other university training, that you go into the classroom and learn subjects, how to do marine engineering courses, that is to become a marine engineer, and you are trained how to become a navigator on deck the vessels. Those are courses that you take in the classroom, and so they are ashore, and we call them shore-based training. But for you to work on board ships are endeavors that will take you high seas, through turbulent waters, and you need to be trained in such a way that you can do your engineering work on board vessel in turbulent waters, on board ships. And for you to do that, you must have practical experience. And that practical experience on board ships going to sea is what we call sea time training. And that is sea time training.
I think it would be very good if you could briefly tell us. We know that some people are watching now who are interested in becoming seafarers. What would they need to know or do to be a part of this training to become seafarers, actually?
Yes. To become a seafarer, you may not necessarily have to go through the NSDP program. There are people that go it on their own. There are people that are sent by shipping companies to be trained as seafarers. But basically what you require to be an officer in seafaring is for you to have your O-level papers at credit level in subjects like physics, mathematics, geography, and the likes, and then other science subjects. If you have about 5 or 7 of them at credit level, is sufficient for you to apply to maritime academies. We have one in Nigeria, and that is the Maritime Academy of Nigeria, Oron, and there is one of this for the sub-region, that is the Maritime University that is in Ghana. And then we have other maritime academies and universities that engage in this kind of training in almost all regions of the world. We have them in the Philippines, in the UK, in the United States. We have them in North Africa, South Africa, Asia, and they are all over the world. Now, once you secure admission, it only means that you're going to go through what I described earlier, shore-based training. You do either at degree level or diploma level. You can choose whatever route you want to take. But the aim thing now is to do it at degree level, because those of them that go for the first degree, they are considered to be more analytical in the way they do their things, because seafaring has really changed. It is gone a higher level, that you require higher degrees in order to compete in the industry. And that is why we specifically tailored our NSDP program to acquaint our cadets with the first degree so that they can compete with any other cadet in every part of the world.
You heard that. So if that is your calling, if you believe that is your calling, you would like to work in that sector, you've heard all that, maybe you could just try. You never can tell where your bread will be watered or buttered. So go ahead and try. Before I let you go, sir, let's talk about dock workers. What is actually the relationship of Nimasa? What state is it in? Talking about the relationship between your agency, Nimasa, and the Maritime Dock Workers Union.
The relationship between Nimasa and the Maritime Workers Union is very cordial. Nimasa superintends over the affairs of dock workers like we do for the seafarers. And what we try to do is to capture them on a holistic register, ensure that the conditions of work for dock workers is as stipulated by our conventions and national labor laws, and at the same time try to see that there is decent pay for decent work for all our maritime labor.
I've heard over time that Nigerian seafarers are among the best in the world. I heard right?
Yeah, very right. Now, you see, the Nigerians generally are hardworking, resilient, and they always have this knack to know more. So, and they have an advantage of the English language as compared to other seafarers that come from other regions of the world. And what happens is that for their hard work, they are always preferred to other seafarers that come from other regions of the world. All we need to do now is to improve more on training and retraining so that we can get them to the level that they can compete with anybody.
Thank you very much for sharing your time with us on Nimasa this week. We hope to speak with you again some other time. Thank you.
Thank you, Cordelia.
So you've heard it. In case you believe that you'll be a good seafarer, why don't you try? Labor laws are adhered to strictly, and I do believe that things will be going from better to best as we move on. This is still Nimasa this week, and we've been talking with Director Maritime Labor, Mr. Ibrahim Jibril. This is still the program, Nimasa this week. I've said it the 2 times, Abi. No problem. Keep watching.
Welcome back. Now, you must have noticed in recent time that Nimasa has been involved in numerous humanitarian activities. And befittingly, recognitions have been pouring in. Recently, the Nigerian Public Relations Forum organized its 2018 Awards and Exhibition Luncheon in Lagos. And at that event, an award was bestowed upon Nimasa. Well, the Director General of Nimasa, Dr. Dakuku Peterside, was there to receive the honor.
It is my joy to present this award, and I really, AS&A Communications present the Corporate Responsibility Award of Excellence to Nimasa, the relation of the outstanding contribution to society. And I can say, despite that Nimasa is really contributing to society. You see all that doing through various contributions, including trying to communicate with the people more effectively about their work. I know those who told me that in recent times, they now know the meaning of Nimasa.
I'm very pleased to receive this award on behalf of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. In acknowledgement of the little contribution we have made to uplift society and make people happy. Recently, we embarked on making presentations to IDP camps across the country, and we went to over 30 different IDP camps. We consider those of us on this side privileged, not by virtue of hard work, not because we've done anything exceptional, but by the grace of the Almighty God. And those who have found themselves in IDP camps, not because they're not hardworking, just that the circumstance of life has forced them to find themselves there. With this award, we will be encouraged to do more. It simply means that the little we're doing is being acknowledged by society. If you listen to her when she spoke, she also said that we're giving people hope by giving them skill and creating opportunities for them to earn a livelihood. We will not rest on our earth. This award is not just an appreciation, it's a charge that we should do more.
Now, next week, Cordelia is going to be here. Well, I'm sure you are happy. So she's going to be here and she will deal you a massive blow of things happening in the maritime industry, reports, trends, policies, events, all here on Nimasa this week. All you have to do is keep a date with us. All right, thanks to the crew, thanks to everybody for making this program a wonderful success, and we'll be back next week. For all of us here,